today's video lecture, we are going to discuss the quantum numbers. Having discussed the Schrodinger wave equation, which deals the wave as well as the particle nature of electrons. So while solving the various wave equations for different orbitals, the three quantum numbers were the result of that equation, and along with these three quantum numbers there is a fourth quantum number. So the direct result or the consequence of this wave mechanical model is what we call as the quantum numbers. So these quantum numbers are the variables which are required to locate an electron in an atom. So these four quantum numbers are required to locate, to pinpoint an electron in an atom. So these four variables which are required to determine an electron in an atom is what we call as the quantum numbers. So from definition point of view, these are the four variables which are required to determine or locate an electron in an atom. So these four variables are known as quantum numbers. Why this is known as quantum numbers? Because these are derived from quantum mechanical model, that is by solving the wave function for various orbitals of the electrons, we got these four variables. So out of these four variables, only three quantum numbers are derived from this quantum mechanical model. Only three quantum numbers are derived from quantum mechanics, that is wave mechanical model. So once we have these four sets of variables, we can exactly pinpoint a particular electron in an atom. So we are going to discuss in detail these four quantum numbers and what are the quantum numbers that are derived from quantum mechanical model. So to start with, let's start with the first quantum number. The first quantum number is known as principal quantum number. Principal quantum number. Now this principal quantum number was given by Bohr. This is due to Niels Bohr. Or we say the discovery of this principal quantum number goes to Bohr. This principal quantum number we used to denote this principal quantum number by small n. This small n represents the principal quantum number. This small n, which represents the quantum number, let's see the significance of this n, because we are going to study the details or the applications of this n. This n, that is the principal quantum number, has possible values. Possible values of this n is 1, 2, 3, etc. and up to infinity. And simply saying, this symbol n, principal quantum number n, cannot have any negative values. This can only have positive integers. Even the value of 0 is not possible. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only the positive integers is possible. This quantum number n represents the shell or the orbit in which the electron was moving. So this represents shell number. So in older literature, if n equals to 1, we say this is K shell. If n equals to 2, we say this is L, 3, M, 4, N, 5, O, etc. So this represents the shell number, and sometimes instead of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we used to say K shell, L shell, M shell, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, etc. So in modern literature, we represent this by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This n, principal quantum number n, decides the energy and also we can say the size of the shell. Size of the cell, or simply saying the distance of the shell from the nucleus. So if I say the size of cell, so this simply means the radius or the distance of shell from nucleus. So if I say the radius of first shell is less than the radius of second shell, so that means if the shell number increases, as the shell number increases, the distance or the radius of shell also increases. This we have gone through this in Bohr's theory. So we have said, look at this, radius of any particular shell, NSL, this was given as A0, that is Bohr's radius, n square divided by z. We have defined this. So as the shell number increases, this is the shell of first radius. So this increase in n increases the size of this shell. This principal quantum number n determines the energy and the velocity of electron. Determines the energy and the velocity of electrons. So we have decided this energy of electron in nth shell is equal to E naught Z square upon n square. So if you look at this, energy is inversely related to the shell number. So as the shell number increases, energy of electron also increases because this E naught is negative. The value of E naught, that is energy in the first orbit of hydrogen atom, is always a negative, which is equal to minus 13.6 electron volts. So as the value of n increases, this value becomes smaller, negative. So that means the energy of electron also increases as the value of n increases. Then we have velocity of electron in a particular shell. Velocity is equal to V naught Z upon n. Now look at this. This V naught is the velocity of electron in the first orbit of hydrogen. So this is equal to 2.18 into 10 to the power 6 meter per second. So now look at this. As the value of n increases, the velocity possessed by electron in a particular shell also decreases. So where the energy increases with increase in n, but the velocity of electron decreases as the value of n increases. So this determines the energy and the velocity of electron. Now one of the most important postulate of the Bohr's theory was electron revolves in that particular orbit for which the angular momentum must be some integral multiple of h by 2 pi. So we have looked at this angular momentum of electron, that is which is equals to mass into velocity of electron r(n), radius of the circular orbit. So this equals to some integral multiples of this h by 2 pi. H is a Planck's constant. So now look at this, we have this value of n. So as the value of n increases, the angular momentum of electron in that particular orbit also increases. So sometimes this is given as n h cross. So h cross represents h by 2 pi. So this already we have this discussed in Bohr's theory. So discovery of this n goes to Niels Bohr. Now apart from this quantum number n, by use of this quantum number n, we can also define how many orbitals are possible in a particular shell. So as we have discussed earlier, during the course of this Bohr's theory, Bohr says electrons are moving in a circular orbit with a well-defined trajectory, meaning thereby at any particular instant we can define the momentum and the location exactly simultaneously. But the later part of the chemistry says these electrons behaving like wave, that is dual properties. Uncertainty principle says the exact location and the momentum cannot be determined 100% accurately and simultaneously. So instead of a well-defined trajectory, we say okay, there is a probability of finding electron. That means inside an atom we have a space. So in a particular atom, a particular region or the space where the probability of finding electron is maximum, that particular point or the space or the region where the probability of finding electron is maximum, that is known as the orbital. So total number of orbitals possible orbitals in a particular shell. So if the value of n is given to you, how many orbitals are possible? So this possible number of orbitals in a particular shell is given by n square. So once we have the values of this principal quantum number, we can easily predict how many orbitals are possible in a given shell. So now look at this, if n equals to 1, the first cell, so there is only possibility of 1 orbital. If n equals to 2, so 2 is 1, so there is a possibility of 4 orbitals. So if n equals to 3, the third shell, so there is a possibility of 9 orbitals. So once we have these orbitals in a given value of n, then we can define total electrons possible. Total electrons possible in a shell. We are discussing how many electrons can be placed in a given shell. So total number of electrons possible in a shell is 2 times this number of orbitals. So n square is the possible orbitals. So possible number of orbitals multiplied by 2. So we say the total number of electrons possible in a given value of n. So first cell, how many electrons are possible? 2 electrons can be placed in the first shell. Second shell, number of orbitals is 4. So how many electrons are possible? 8 electrons are possible. Third shell, 18 electrons are possible. So once we have the value of n, we can calculate these possibilities. So we can calculate number of possible electrons, number of possible orbitals, what is the angular momentum, we can define energy of electron, velocity, radius. So this is what we call as the principal quantum number. So this principal quantum number is derived from the quantum mechanics. So this is the first quantum number. Then after this, let's go to the second quantum number. Second quantum number is azimuthal quantum number. Azimuthal quantum number, which is also known as orbital angular momentum quantum number. Orbital angular momentum quantum number, This second quantum number is also known as subsidiary quantum number. So the second quantum number is known by different names. We can have azimuthal quantum number. This is also known as orbital angular momentum quantum number. This is also known as subsidiary quantum number. Now this quantum number, the second quantum number, this is due to Sommerfeld. Now this quantum number is developed or defined by Sommerfeld. Now when the spectrum of hydrogen was placed in an electric field. So I'm saying when the hydrogen spectrum, the single lines of hydrogen spectrum was placed in an electric field, this line was found to split into number of fine lines. So that is what we call a Stark effect. Now to account for this Stark effect, why this single line when placed in electric field undergoes splitting, Sommerfeld modified the well-defined trajectory, that is the circular orbit of this hydrogen atom or hydrogen-like atom. He says instead of this circular orbital, this electron motion around this nucleus can all have be elliptical orbits. So we cannot confine this into circular orbits. Along with this circular orbits, we can also have elliptical orbits. So consideration of elliptical orbits. So when we just look at this, elliptical orbit is, the concept of elliptical orbit is introduced, then this extension by Sommerfeld easily describes or defines why this single line of hydrogen undergoes splitting into another fine lines when this is placed in electric effect. So the Stark effect, splitting of lines of hydrogen when placed in electric field, is explained by this azimuthal quantum number or orbital angular momentum quantum number, also known as subsidiary quantum number. So this quantum number, the symbol for this quantum number is small l. So small l represents the azimuthal or orbital or subsidiary quantum number. The values possible for this azimuthal quantum number L, this is from 0 to n minus 1. The possible values of this azimuthal quantum number is 0 to n minus 1. So now look at this, where n cannot be 0, but the value of L can be 0. So L can be 0 and the maximum value of L is n minus 1. So if you look at this, the maximum value of L is n minus 1. So that means, that is, this L can never be greater or equals to n. And the value of n will always be greater than n. L and L cannot be equal. L cannot be greater than n, but the value of n should always be greater than n. So please, we have to keep this thing in mind. L and L cannot have same value. L cannot be greater than n. N, the shell number or the principal quantum number, should always be greater than n. That means, to define the values of this azimuthal quantum number, we need to have the value of L. That means, once we have this shell, we can define this azimuthal quantum number. Now this azimuthal quantum number or orbital or subsidiary quantum number, this defines the subshell in a cell. That means once we have this shell which is being defined by the principal quantum number, within this cell there are subshells. So that subshells which is present in the shell, that is being defined by azimuthal quantum number. So that means to define this we need to have a cell. Once we have this cell, under this cell we have sub final sub classification, and that sub is what we call as subshell. So this is similar to our human being. So now look at this, we have a human body. Inside this human body we have, look at these organs. Inside organs are made up of tissues, tissues are made up of cells. So ultimately the point is cell. Cell combines to give you tissues, then tissues into organs, and organs combination of organ gives you human system. So our human system, our human body, this represents a shell. Inside this we have different organs. So these organs is what we call as the subshell. So we have a shell. Inside this shell we have subshell. So this subshell, that is known as L, which can have a values 0 to n minus 1. The value of L should always be less than n. This subshell is due to the consideration of elliptical orbits by Sommerfeld instead of well-defined circular orbits, and this explains the Stark effect. So we have said when the fine lines of hydrogen spectrum was placed in electric field, this undergoes splitting. So the splitting, that is Stark effect, that is nothing but due to the subshell, which credit goes to the Sommerfeld. So this is azimuthal quantum number. Now this azimuthal quantum number defines the shape of orbitals determines the shape of orbitals. Now as I told you what is the meaning of orbitals, so let's give the definition of orbitals. Orbitals are the region or the space inside an atom, where the probability of finding electron is maximum. Where the probability of finding electron is maximum. So that particular region where the probability or the chances of finding electron is maximum, that is known as orbital. So that particular space or region inside an atom will have certain shape. So that shape is being defined by this azimuthal quantum number. So listen. Now look at this. L can have a value of 0, L can have value of 1, L can have value of 2, 3, etc. Let's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Values is from 0 to n minus 1. Now if L equals to 0, then that subshell is known as S. If L equals to 1, the subshell is known as P subshell. If L equals to 2, the subshell is known as D subshell. L equals to 3, subshell is known as F. L equals to 4, subshell is known as G, H, etc. So these are the names of the orbit. So S stands for sharp, P stands for principal, D stands for diffuse, F stands for fundamental, G stands for generalized, etc. These are the terms derived from quantum mechanical model. So these are the names of subcells. So now you can have G, H, I, J, K, etc. So now this S, that is sharp S orbital. S orbital, the shape of S orbital is spherical. Spherical shape. So process this determines the shape of orbital. So we have defined what is orbital. So if L equals to 0, because for S subcell the value of L is always fixed. So if you have S orbital, subcell is S, value of L is 0. If N equals to 0, the value of N can be 1. If subcell is P, that means the value of L equals to 1. This is dumbbell shape. Dumbbell. D, this is double dumbbell. Now, in our syllabus, we are going to focus on these first three, S, P, and D subcells. The shape of this S, P, D, and so S. As I told you, S is spherical. So we have now look at this. This is Z, this is X, and this is Y axis. Then this S, the shape is spherical. That is symmetrical along X, Y, and Z. So the shape of S orbital is spherical in nature. So inside this spherical space there is a chance for finding electrons. So the particular space where the chances for finding electron is what we call as orbital. So this defines the shape. So shape of S is spherical. Now coming to shape of P. Shape of P orbital, this is given as dumbbell. Now suppose we have look at this. These are three axes, Z, X, and Y. Now the shape of this P orbital, that is principal, this is dumbbell shape. So subcell P has got the shape of dumbbell. This may be along Z axis, this may be along X axis, this may be along Y axis. We are not going in detail. I am just giving you the shape of this P. Then we have D. D is double dumbbell shape. So suppose we have this axis, then this may be along axis or this may be in between the axis, but the shape is something like so. This is double dumbbell shape. Just forget about the orientation along axis. Orientation we are going to deal in next quantum number. So this azimuthal quantum number or the orbital angular momentum or the subsidiary quantum number which defines the subcell in a shell defines the shape of the orbitals and the name of the subshells are given to you: S subshell, P subshell, D, F, G, F. So now look at this. These are the values of L. Depending on the values of L, subshells are given specific name, and this specific name is coming from quantum numbers, quantum mechanical model, which is beyond the scope of our discussion. So we have to focus on these terms, and this is the terms that is used to denote this S, P, G, F, G. And in this we are going to focus on the first three, that is S, P and D. S is spherical, P is dumbbell, D is double dumbbell. That means 4 lobes. Dumbbell says only 2 lobes. Double dumbbell, that is having 4 lobes. Now apart from this azimuthal quantum number L, for the same values of principal quantum number, we can have a number of azimuthal quantum numbers. The energies of various subshells in a shell. So if suppose a particular shell has got a number of subshells S, P, D, F, J's, then the energy order follows this. So N is constant, that is N constant for a given values of N. The energies follows this. So this is the energy order of the various subshells in a given shell. Once we have a shell, then we can have a number of subshells, and the number of subshells, this is the energies of different subshells. Then now for a subshell having same values of L, that means we are having a subshell. So L is a constant but different values of the principal quantum number N. Subshells having same L but different values of N has got similar shape but size increases. But sizes increases as the value of N increases. So now look at this. We have subshell, that means the value of L is same but we have different values of N. They will have similar shape but the size of subshells will increase. Suppose if I say 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. Now look at this, we have S, so this is subshell is S subshell, but the value of N, this value 1, 2, 3, this represents the principal quantum numbers. Now look at this, as the principal quantum number increases, the size of this also increases. Size of 2s is greater than 1s, 4s is greater than 3s, 3s is greater than 1s. Similarly, we can have now look at this, 2p is less than 3p, which is less than 4p, etc. So same subshell having different values of the principal quantum number N, the size increases as the value of principal quantum number increases. This azimuthal quantum number, by use of this azimuthal quantum number, we can define the angular momentum, the orbital angular momentum, because already it says this is also known as orbital angular momentum quantum number. So orbital angular momentum of electron is given as L plus 1 under root into h by 2 pi. So the orbital angular momentum of the electrons can be defined once we have the values of L. So now look at this, the orbital angular momentum. So for S subshell L equals to 0. So therefore angular momentum will be 0 because L equals to 0. So for P, L equals to 1, so we can have orbital angular momentum. So therefore look at this, for P, L equals to 1, so angular momentum will be equals to L equals to 1, so 1 plus 1, 2, 2 into 1, 2, so under root 2 into h by 2 pi. So that means once we have the values of L, we can easily define what is the orbital angular momentum of the electron. So this is because of this, the second quantum number is also known as orbital angular momentum quantum number. Once we have this orbital angular momentum quantum number, we can define what is the magnitude of the magnetic moment. Magnitude of magnetic moment. So the magnitude of magnetic moment, this is defined as mu. So mu L, this is equals to L plus 1 under root Bm. So this Bm represents Bohr's magneton. Bohr's magneton, which is equals to 9.27 into 10 to the power minus 14 joule. This value is known as Bohr's magneton. So this is the magnitude of magnetic moment is defined in terms of joule energy. So Bohr's magneton is equals to 9.27 into 10 to the power 14 joule. So we have defined this magnetic moment. We have defined what is the orbital angular momentum. Once we have this L, so for a given value of subshell L, how many orbitals are possible? Possible orbitals in a subshell. So total number of orbitals possible in a subshell, this is equals to twice L plus 1. That means once we have this subshell, so in a subshell how many orbitals are possible? So now look at this, for S, L equals to 0, so number of orbitals, so orbitals possible is 1. So S can have only one orbital, that is P, L equals to 1, so orbital is 1 into 2, 2 plus 1, 3, so number of orbital possible is 3. D, L equals to 2, orbitals possible is 5. F, L equals to 3, possible orbital is 7. G, L equals to 4, possible orbital is 9. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. So once we have this possible number of orbitals, we can say how many electrons are possible in a given subshell. Possible electrons in a subshell. So number of electrons possible in a subshell, that is 2 times twice L plus 1. So once we have the possible number of orbitals, we can easily define how many electrons are possible. So look at this, S, number of orbitals is possible, orbitals possible is 1. So number of electrons can have 2 times this value. P, number of orbitals is, we have 3 orbitals, the total number of electron possible is 6. D, we have 5 orbitals possible. So number of electrons possible in D subshell is 10. Then we have F. Number of orbitals is 7. Total electrons possible is 14, etc. Also, if we have a G, number of orbital is 9. Total electron possible is 18, etc. So we can define how many possible orbitals are there in a given subshell, and from that we can also define how many possible electrons can be placed in a subshell. So these are some of the important points that we derive from this second quantum number, that is azimuthal quantum number. The third quantum number is magnetic quantum number. This magnetic quantum number is due to Linde, and this magnetic quantum number, symbol for this magnetic quantum number is M, magnetic quantum number. So sometimes instead of this is also known as ML. This magnetic quantum number M, this represents subshell in a subshell. So we have subshell. So inside this subshell again we have another sub. So that subshell in a subshell is known as magnetic quantum number. So now look at this, we have a shell. Inside this we have subshell. Inside this subshell we again have subshell. So as I told you, we have a body that is known as shell. Inside this body we have organ. So that organ represents subshell. So inside this organ we again have tissues. So these tissues represent subshell. Then these subshell in a subshell, this is what we call as orbital. This is the meaning of orbital. So this is the region in an atom where there is a maximum chances of finding electron. So that particular subshell is what we call as the magnetic quantum number. And this magnetic quantum number, that is subshell, this explains the Zeeman effect, that is splitting of the fine lines of hydrogen spectrum when they are placed in magnetic field. So this is due to this magnetic quantum number. This magnetic quantum number determines the orientation of orbitals in space. That means what should be the direction or in which particular axis. Is this along x-axis, is this along y-axis, or is this along z-axis, or is this in between the axis? So this orientation of the orbitals in space, that is what we call as magnetic quantum number M. This magnetic quantum number M can have a values of minus L passing through 0 to plus L. So the maximum value of M is plus L, minimum values of L is minus. This can have a values of 0. So therefore total values of M is twice L plus 1. So we have minus L plus L, that is twice L, including the value of 0. So this is twice L plus 1. So this defines, so as we have said earlier, from a given value of L we can define how many orbitals are possible. So this twice L plus 1, which is the total number of values of M possible, this defines the subshell, that is nothing but the orbital. So this is the magnetic quantum number. Now look at this. If L equals to 0, then the magnetic quantum number M will always be 0. Then we have this is S. So we have only one orientation, that is S orbital. This is known as S orbital. If L equals to 1, then the possible values of M can be M is equals to plus 1, M can be 0, M can be minus 1. So this has got three possible orientation. So this is what we call as p orbital. So p sharp shell has got three orientations possible. So this we say p has got three, that is px, py and pz. So one of the lobes of p orbital is along x-axis, other is along y-axis, the other one is along z-axis. So this represents the orientation of the lobes of the p orbital. So normally there is px, the value of m can be plus minus 1. This is plus minus 1. So normally z is considered to be the value of 0. So if this is plus 1, this is minus 1, this is 0. If this is minus 1, this is plus 1, this is 0. So now look at this, we have this px, this is z, this is x, suppose this is y. Then if the lobe is along z, so we say this is pz. So the orientation of this pz, this is purely along z axis. Then we have, look at this, z, x, y. If the orientation of lobe is along x axis, then we say this is px. So px means the orientation of the lobes of this p orbital is along x axis. So this is z, x and y. So if the orientation is along y axis, then we say this is py. So this is the meaning of x, y, z. So L equals to 1, we have three possible orientation, that is p orbital can have three, p sharp shell can have three p orbitals. So px, py, pz, that is the orbital, p is the sharp shell. So orbital is nothing but the orientation of this in space. Similar, look at this, if L equals to 1, 2, the possible values of n is minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. So there are 5 possible orientation. So that means P has got 3 orbitals. So D has got how many orbitals? 5 orbitals. So D sharp shell has got 5 orbitals. And these are known as dxy, dyz, dzx and dz square. Xy means in between x and y axis, in between y and z axis, in between z and x axis, that is along z axis, and the fifth one is dx square minus y square, that is along x and y axis. So let me just give you the shape of these d orbitals. So suppose, look at this, we have this, this is z, x, y. So if the orientation of lobe is purely along z axis, then we say this is dz square, purely along z axis. If suppose this is y, this is z, this is x, if the orientation is along x and y, so purely along x and y axis. If the lobe is purely along x and y axis, then we say this is dx square minus y square, purely along x and y axis. if the log is in between x and y. Now the log is in between x and y, not along x axis but not along y axis. This is in x y, in between x and y axis, or we say y x plane. So this is known as dxy, xy plane. Then we have suppose this is z, this is x, this is y. If the log is in between x and z, this is in between x and z, so we say this is x, zx, that is zx plane. If this is y, this is z, and this is x, and if the logs are in between y and z, then we say this is dyz. So these are the orientation of d orbitals. So except this dz square, the remaining 4 orbital has got 4 lobes, but this dz has got only 2 lobes. So this is the one which is different from the rest of the d orbitals. Quantum number is spin quantum number. This spin quantum number is due to Goldschmidt. This spin quantum number is symbol used for this spin quantum number is simply s, or sometimes written as ms, small s or ms. Now this spin quantum number is not derived from the wave mechanical model, whereas the first 3 quantum number, principal, azimuthal and magnetic, these 3 quantum numbers were derived from quantum mechanical model, but the 4th quantum number, that is spin quantum number, is not derived from the quantum mechanical model. This quantum number, spin quantum number, is introduced to explain the fine line of hydrogen spectrum, or we say atomic spectrum. The fine structure or the fine lines of this atomic spectrum. To explain the fine lines of this atomic spectrum, we introduce this spin. That means when electron is moving in its own axis, this also undergoes spin motion. So spin can be either clockwise spin or anti-clockwise spin. So the possible values, this can have only 2 values. 2 values possible. So the 2 values are either we can have plus half or minus half. So the possible values of S is plus half or minus half. To plus half, sometimes this is used by this symbol, minus half by this. So plus half is known as clockwise spin. Means either electron can undergo clockwise spin, or this minus half representation is for anti-clockwise. So these have only 2 possible values, that is plus half, that is clockwise or up, arrow up, minus half which represents anti-clockwise, or arrow down. This spin quantum number defines spin angular momentum of electrons, defines spin angular momentum of electron, which is equals to s plus 1 under root h by 2 pi, where s is the spin quantum number. So once we have this spin angular momentum, we can define the magnitude of momentum. Magnitude of magnetic moment means spin magnetic moment. So we say this is mu s. So mu s is s plus 1 under root bm. So bm is again Bohr's magneton, which defines energy, that is 9.27 into 10 to the power minus 14 joule. So this spin only magnetic moment can also be defined sometimes in this way: n plus 2, where n is number of unpaired electrons in an electronic configuration. This is not the principal quantum number n. This is number of unpaired electrons in a given electronic configuration that we are going to take a later on. Now this spin quantum number also defines spin multiplicity. So spin multiplicity is 2 times summation of spin quantum number plus 1. This defines the spin multiplicity. Now we are going to take a spin multiplicity after defining the electronic configuration. So this is a brief discussion about the 4 quantum numbers which is required, or the 4 variable which is required to pinpoint or locate an electron in an atom.